Well, hey there, and good Wednesday morning to you. Out here by the little fire that I made this morning. We had a pretty good rain came through last night, and I was thinking, you know, I need to make a little video and get that up. Everything was wet, but despite it being wet, we've got a nice little fire going here in the fire pit. And here we go. One of the things that I want to mention at the very outset is that this video series that we are engaged in producing and publishing, I don't have old timers in mind. I don't have people in mind that are already familiar with this sort of thing. This is a basic skills series focusing on basic skills. We've got a lot of new members in our bushcraft group. Mountain Bushcrafters Alliance, I looked at it this morning, I think the number was 745 members in our closed group. And a lot of these folks are new to the outdoors scene. A lot of them are children, very young people. And one of the things that we've been discussing amongst the admin of the group is the need that we have to return to basics, because we've got folks that they're not up to speed with this stuff. And so we're producing a video series on, call it bushcraft basics, call it outdoor skills basics. It really doesn't matter what you call it. And for me, revisiting these topics is it's a good thing, because the heart and soul of outdoors and having the skills to go outdoors and do outdoors and enjoy being outdoors and all the many flavors that are associated with that, whether it's camping or hunting or hiking or fishing or just going for a tramp in the woods. These skills are part of the heart and soul of that. So I want to revisit those things and, in fact, for myself, do a refresher course. And in beginning that series, the first thing I'm going to do is basically introduce what we're going to be doing. And in this particular, I've already built a fire. I'm not going to do a fire making demonstration, but I'm going to go in depth with fire making skills and several other things, cutting tools and shelter building and staying hydrated and feeding ourselves in the wild and that sort of thing. I'm looking forward to doing that series. Some of these videos, Shirley will be participating in them with me. That's my bushcraft cup. Yeah, this was made by a special friend of ours that makes pottery. And if you're local around here and you get a chance to go to a show someplace where Sticky Fingers Pottery is set up, she's got some really neat stuff. Now, one of the things that I want to do in this video is give a little shout out to a new friend and subscriber on our YouTube channel, Lee at Burton Outdoors, who was asking me about my neck knife. And my neck knife is really nothing fancy. It's a Mora Companion. I tied a paracord lanyard onto it, and I've been carrying this thing around my neck for several years now, and I really like it. The only thing about the Mora Companion is, even though I could raise a spark off of a ferro rod with it, as it was when it came to me new, I used a flat file on the back of it to get a sharp 90-degree edge so that this thing throw a spark real good. And that's what I'm carrying, Lee. Appreciate you asking, man. Appreciate you subscribing to our channel. Let me get my bushcraft mug out of the way and simply talk about some of the tools that I use in making fire, in fire making. And there's a lot of ways to make a fire. You can use a Bic lighter, you can use a match, you can use a ferro rod, and I use this a lot. This is part of my everyday carry, whether it's this one or one that I can carry in my pocket, and I have others as well. And this just happens to be the one that I'm carrying on me right now. It's a fire steel, and one of the things I like about it is I don't have to carry it in my pocket. I can simply secure it around my belt, and it's with me everywhere I go. And as long as I've got a fire steel and a knife with a 90-degree spine or a sharp rock or a piece of glass, I can make a fire. Now, one of the other, we're going to be dealing with making fires with a ferro rod. And another thing that we're going to deal with is primitive flint and steel. Now, most people in using primitive flint and steel use char cloth as their means of collecting a spark to get a fire going, to create that initial ember that they will eventually blow into a flame after placing it in a bird's nest or a tinder bundle. We're going to deal with that, making it, using it. One of the things about char cloth that I want to point out is that it is a terrific thing to have with us already made. If we're in a wilderness environment or we find ourselves in a long-term situation, that little can of char cloth is going to get used up. And the last thing we want to do in a long-term situation where rescue is not possible in 72 hours, what if it turns into 2 weeks? What if it turns into a month? What if it turns into 3 months? We don't want to cut up our underwear or our t-shirts and use them to make char cloth to get a fire going. We don't have to do that in a wilderness environment because the woods are full of stuff that we can char and get a fire going with in a number of ways, with a number of ignition sources. And we're going to deal with finding and processing punk wood to make it into a viable fire starting resource. We're going to deal with ignition fires, using a lens to create a fire. We're also going to, probably the last thing I'm going to deal with in a demonstration video is making a fire using a bow drill, friction fire. Why? This is really a novel way to make a fire. It's fun, it's work, it's challenging, but in a going into the woods type of situation, I do not want to have to depend upon locating something that's usable to get a fire going. Number one, I'm going to exhaust a lot of calories in doing that. Calories that I may not want to burn because of other conditions. And the other thing is, in a wilderness environment where it rains, it's hard to find something dry enough to generate a fire by friction. And the other thing that I can say about friction fire is that all wooden material is not created equal. Some wood that's soft enough to score it with a fingernail will work really, really good to get a fire going. Other woods not so well. There's just something about the properties of the wood that makes it either more effective or less effective in getting a fire going. And if I need to get a fire going in a hurry, the last thing I'm going to do is try to do it with this. Even though I enjoy doing it, and I carry an antler bearing block in my fire kit from a deer antler, and you know, it's a lot of fun, and it's a great skill to know. And in a genuine survival situation, this may save our life. So, you know, I want to cover that. We're looking forward to doing the video series. We're looking forward to sharing ideas and thoughts with you on the fire making subject, and whether I do all of these particular videos back to back or throw in something along the way, I don't know. Hey, I'm retired, folks. I kind of get up in the morning and think about what is it I'm going to do today, and that's what I do. So here we go. Stay with us, and I appreciate you watching, folks. I really do. It means a lot to me. It means a lot to have you subscribing to this YouTube channel, and I wish you the best of everything. I'll see you on the next one.